Deion Sanders recently made two big announcements. One of them was who's the offensive coordinator. The other is that he's not making an announcement yet on his defensive coordinator.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borman. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase the Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. That's J-A-S-E, medical.com. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and all that jazz. Coach Prime, he revealed who his offensive coordinator is. We kind of already knew, but he made it official. Sometimes you got to make things officially official. And it was Pat Shurmur, which I think is the safe bet. I think that's the safe option for not only the team's continuity, but I think that's the safest option for Deion Sanders, not having to deal with what would be like his fifth coordinator in 4 years or 3 years. I think 4 years. I think Pat Shurmur him being around the program is huge because he knows what works, what doesn't, what works with Shedeur, what Coach Prime wants. I think that was kind of one of the main reasons that Sean Lewis was no longer at the helm was he wasn't always doing what Coach Prime was, I won't say asking, but wasn't doing what Coach Prime was hoping for him to do. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you got to do what the boss man says. But he made an interesting announcement for defensive coordinator, and I'm going to show you guys the video. Or we're going to listen to or watch the video so that way you guys could dissect it with me, because he basically said that the defensive coordinator won't be announced. He knows who it is, or at least he made it seem like he does, but they're currently in the NFL playoffs. And so it's like, okay, that's interesting. So we'll just have to wait and see, but you guys will be able to kind of decipher that with me. We'll do a little bit of coding, see what happens.
Staff person, two staff members that we didn't introduce as our coordinator. And I could easily choose a coordinator for you. But instead of being hasty, I'd rather be right. Thank you. Because you deserve it. So you got to understand the NFL is just getting over, and there's still some teams in the playoffs. So not only we're trying to get you a pro, but we're trying to get you a professional, either from college or from the NFL, but we're trying to do it right, because this side of the room, right, defense, you deserve that. And we're going to get it right for you, because a lot of you guys want to go to the next level, and I plan on you guys going to the next level, and we're going to get somebody that can make sure you have all the possibilities of going to the next level.
So, yeah, I think realistically, I don't want to say there's any shots at Charles Kelly there. I feel like I saw some people being like, yeah, they're going to get it right this time. I think Charles Kelly was a good fit. I think he was a good hire. One, I think there was a lot of talent issues, they just didn't have the right pieces. They didn't have enough depth. And two, it was year one. I think there was a lot of things that went wrong for Colorado in year one. Obviously, you point at Charles Kelly in the defense. I think there's a lack of discipline from the players, and I think that also stems from the culture problem that I talked about a few episodes ago. But Charles Kelly is now the defensive coordinator at Auburn, so he's clearly still a qualified candidate to be a defensive coordinator. I think things just didn't work out in Boulder. But Coach Prime talked about the playoffs still going. Now, obviously, I don't know when exactly that was recorded, so that makes things a little more complicated. But here's all the teams that were in the playoffs as of this past weekend, or even today. The Steelers, Bills, Eagles, Buccaneers, they all play today. Then you have the Browns, Texans, Dolphins, Chiefs, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Lions. Now, the two names that stand out to me are obviously Brian Flores from the Dolphins, who's currently not probably, the Dolphins are done. So does he make the jump or go back to the college level? Brian Flores was a head coach. He probably has head coaching aspirations. I don't know if he wants to come to the college level. He's also always been at the NFL level, so I don't know if that's like the move for him, which is why I'm kind of skeptical about him. But then Raheem Morris comes to mind. And Raheem Morris, obviously, former player, or no, not former player, excuse me. I was mixing him up with someone else. He is someone who started off at the college level. So he went started his career at Hofstra as a graduate assistant, then Cornell, and then Hofstra again. And then in 2002, he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He stayed with Tampa Bay until 2005 in some capacity. Went to Kansas State in 2006 as a defensive coordinator, then back to the Buccaneers as his defensive backs coach. Then he was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then he was a defensive backs coach for Washington, the Commanders. Then he was a Falcons head coach and passing game coordinator, and stayed with the Falcons as a wide receivers coach and defensive coordinator in 2020, interim head coach. And then he's been the Los Angeles Rams defensive coordinator since 2021. So he has experience at the college level, and he's someone that stands out. Now, the rest of them, I think the Eagles staff is fairly too new. I don't feel like anyone from the Bills. The only person I think from the Bills that's come to the college level eventually is Joe Brady, and even then, that's not a defense coordinator, obviously. Is it Dan Quinn? The Dallas Cowboys are out of the playoffs. I'm probably going to clean house over there. But the Cowboys just got blown out by the Packers. Is Dan Quinn really the right guy for this time? Right guy at this time? And so I'm going to go over his kind of coaching experiences because I feel like they need to have college coaching experience. I think it's a risk having someone who doesn't have coaching experience in this NIL era, but nonetheless, that's not my decision to make. So he started his career at William and Mary, went to VMI, which is the Virginia Military Institute, I believe it's called. Yes. Yeah. So then went to Hofstra, multiple Hofstra guys in the mix here. Then the San Francisco 49ers, and then the Miami Dolphins, then the Jets, the Seahawks. Then he spent 2011 to 2012 as the defensive coordinator and defensive line coach at Florida before coming back to the NFL, and where he's been since. He has head coaching experience. I think that's an interesting hire that could be made. I don't know if that's really when he said NFL experience too, Coach Prime and Carl Reed, I automatically went to Mike Zimmer. I'm like, oh, he's right there on the staff. But Mike Zimmer, again, not a lot of college coaching experience. And I think that's the hard part about this. It's like, who has that college coaching experience that's the right guy for the job to come to Colorado and not only turn this defense around, but recruit? Because obviously Colorado needs help recruiting. They need a lot of help recruiting, whether people want to admit that or not. It's just one of those things where it's like, do they kind of take a chance on having someone who's better schematically and has no recruiting experience? Maybe. Then I also look at like Todd Bowles, who started his career at Morehouse as a defensive coordinator, Grambling State, the Jets, Browns, Cowboys, Dolphins, Eagles, Cardinals, Buccaneers. He's the head coach now of the Buccaneers. Like, obviously he's not going to leave, but it's just like, who in this mix? Like, who do I think, like, I was just throwing out random names. Like, the Eagles both have new coordinators that I doubt are going to leave. Todd Bowles is defense. He runs the defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I crossed him off the list because obviously he's the head coach. The Steelers, do they really, like, let's see. Steelers defensive coordinator is Terrell Austin. Do they go with him? I feel like that'd be interesting, I guess. The Steelers are kind of having a down year. But they did go from 29th in opponents' passing yards to the best in the second half of the 2022 season. But I do feel like Mike Tomlin, there's rumors about what he's up to next, where he's going to go. Is he going to be the guy? I don't think so. But Terrell Austin spent a lot of time at the college level. Started at Penn State, went to Wake Forest, Syracuse, Michigan, Florida, eventually. So there's that. The Browns defensive coordinator is probably due for a head coaching job. So it's just one of those things. It's like, where do they go? I don't know. And it's going to be real interesting to see who Coach Prime conjures up. I think the appeal to coaching at Colorado, even if you don't have a lot of coaching experience, is if you want to be a head coach, you're basically going to run the defense with no, like, Coach Prime's going to get feedback, but he's kind of a CEO head coach. Like, he's not going to be like, hey, we need to do this, this, and this on defense. Like, I think he lets the defensive coordinators handle what they need to handle. And I think that's appealing. I think it's appealing to be in a high-profile job. So if you do well, you're probably going to be a head coach at either the NFL or the college level if you're able to turn this defense around and help them succeed. So there's a lot of options out there. It's really interesting to see who is going to be that guy because obviously Coach Prime, I think he's got someone in mind. It kind of sounds like he has a couple people who he's like, I would want him And whether he gets them or not, we'll just have to wait and see. But comment below who you think it could be, because I feel like I threw out some possibilities there. And we'll just have to kind of play the waiting game until I don't think I wonder if we'll know by next Monday, because obviously the divisional round is up. Will we know by that point? Because if someone makes it to the divisional round as a coordinator, you're probably up for a head coaching job, I would assume, or at least in some cases. So we'll just have to wait and see. But either way, this episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explore tab, or you can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best way to find the popular parlays around the community. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. A little awkward there. I missed my button for my little graphic there. But either way, I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs and making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow. We're nearing 4,500 subs. Let's get there. We're nearing 5,000 eventually. So we're going to get there. Okay. We've talked about this countless times. I will go on record right now and say after this season, I have no clue what I think Coach Prime will do. I think there's going to be jobs like Florida that open. I think there's going to be jobs like maybe, I don't even know what other jobs are open, but there's going to be SEC jobs open. There's going to be maybe a Big 10 job or two that opens. There's going to be other Big 12 jobs, ACC jobs. All these jobs are going to be open, right? Do I think Coach Prime is at Colorado by the start of the 2025 season? I think he should be. I think there's a good chance he will be. But if a job like Florida or Miami opens, I wouldn't be shocked that if he ends up leaving Colorado to go to a state where he's repeatedly said that's where he wants his players from. Because if he were to go to a school in Florida, good luck to everybody else getting a player out of the state of Florida, because Coach Prime will have that place boarded up and will have all the top players in Florida going to wherever he is. Now, granted, that requires those jobs to open up. That requires Coach Prime to go back on his word that he is willing to leave Boulder. But this happens all the time. Every time there's a coaching opening at the NFL or college football level, Coach Prime is mentioned. He was mentioned for the Alabama opening. He was mentioned for the Texas A&M opening. Now, obviously, we don't know if he was a legitimate candidate for either of those jobs. Probably not for Alabama. Maybe for Texas A&M. But either way, he's mentioned for every possible job. And so yesterday, the Dallas Cowboys obviously get lit up by the Green Bay Packers. Shout out Jordan Love. The Dallas Cowboys lost by a score of 48-32. Jordan Love threw for 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones rushed for 3 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, he threw for 3 touchdowns with 2 picks. And just one of those things where it's like, the Cowboys, there they go again, disappointing everybody. And so everyone, of course, is ready to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus. And I thought his days were numbered last year. And now I think that was just a reason for people this loss was just another reason for people to be like, get him out of here. And so that's not shocking to me. It's not shocking to me that people are ready to part ways with Mike McCarthy. Yeah, I mean, this isn't Locked On Cowboys, but fans were unhappy with him for the past couple of years. When you get blown out in the playoffs and it doesn't really look like there's any improvement, I think that's kind of an indicator that your time is up, right? RG3, Robert Griffin III, made a 2.5 minute video. I'm not going to play the video for you guys because it's so long, but 2.5 minute long video talking about it's time to replace Mike McCarthy. And one of the names he throws out is Deion Sanders. And it's like, did Coach Prime play for the Cowboys? Yes. Does he have strong ties to Dallas? I think he still has a house in Dallas or the Dallas area. Yes, he does. That's great. Fantastic. I think he just really likes Texas and their lack of, I think they don't have state income tax is what it was. And I think he's just spent a lot of time there and really likes it there. Is that a crime? No. But Robert Griffin III throws out Coach Prime as a candidate for the NFL. One, if Coach Prime's going to leave Colorado, I imagine it's going to be for a college job, and I imagine it's going to be for a job in the state of Florida, or it's going to be like a SEC program. So all these people that are kind of worried about Coach Prime leaving, unless Florida or even Miami, which is kind of those two jobs are looking like the most too likely where it's like I could see him leaving, unless those jobs open up, I don't feel like there's any job to be worried about. I really don't. Coach Prime has said time and time again that he likes to be in Boulder. Now, obviously, no coach is going to be like, I have to stay here because I said I liked it here. Coaches all the time take a job and say, yeah, this is my forever job. And then they leave. There's always different forever jobs. But with Coach Prime, it's different. He doesn't need to chase money. He has his family in Colorado. He moved, like his mom, I think he said he moved his sister out there. His daughter plays on the freshman basketball team. She's a freshman on the basketball team. There's a lot of reasons for him to stay in Boulder. Now, obviously, if he leaves, his daughter could transfer and he could probably sell all the homes that he bought and move elsewhere. But I just don't feel like that's going to happen. And he has said more times than not. I think a lot of people ask him about leaving Colorado, and he says like he loves it there and he loves the community and the program and all that. And you know what? That's what every college coach is going to say about their program. But he has like definitively, vehemently said, I don't want to coach in the NFL. The NFL would not be a good place for me to coach because I would want to cut everybody. There's too much like salary issues. There's grown men whose job is to play football and they're not living up to his standards. I think would be a big problem for a lot of people. And I think he would be a really interesting head coach in the NFL. And plus, I don't think he has the coaching chops yet. I don't think he has the coaching experience to go to the NFL, take over a program like the Dallas Cowboys, who won, mind you, have the Jones family running the team, and they're like the most hands-on people in all professional sports. They want to draft everyone. They want to pick everything. And like Jerry Jones has a weekly radio show, or I don't think it's daily. I think it's a weekly radio show where he literally is talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Like Coach Prime probably doesn't want someone that hands-on who's watching over his shoulder, telling him what to do. If they hire Coach Prime, they're probably going to have like contingencies like, hey, we're going to hire you as a head coach, but we're going to pick your offense coordinator. We're going to pick your defense coordinator. We're going to pick your staff. So that would also mean that all these people that Coach Prime brought to Colorado, whether it be Coach Andre Hart, whether it be the trainers from Jackson State, those people, I mean, the trainers, I think they're student trainers still, or I don't know if they're on staff, but either way, a lot of these people will be losing jobs. And do they get the same opportunities that he's giving them? No. And I think while people want to call him selfish and all that, I think he's very well aware of the impact that he can have on other people's lives by giving them opportunities. And he knows if he goes to the NFL, they're probably going to want to pick his staff, and they're probably not, or the people that he's brought on to his staff may not get that opportunity at the Power 5 or Power 4 level, that he gave them. And it's okay for people to realize that, yeah, he's hiring people he knows because he wants to give great candidates and great people opportunities. And I just feel like we need to stop with this NFL narrative. I see the same articles written just about every month or every 2 months where it's like Deion Sanders turns down NFL interest. It's like, we know he doesn't want to go to the NFL. Do we know for sure that he doesn't want to leave Colorado if a job in Florida opens? No, we don't, because that hasn't happened yet. But we know for sure he does not want to go to the NFL. He has said that so many times. I think the only reason he'd go to the NFL is to coach his son Shadur. And I don't know how that'd go when it's professional football. I just don't think we've really seen a father-son coaching duo or father-son coach-player duo in the NFL. But I'm so sick and tired of hearing the Coach Prime to insert NFL job. It's not going to happen. If it was Jim Harbaugh, sure. Coach Prime, no. He said so many times he doesn't want to go to the NFL. That's like the one rumor or one thing where he shuts it down consistently where I'm like, yeah, I definitely believe him on that. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Jace Medical. I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities of real life, but can we just talk for a minute about preparing for that real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. This is scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if my girlfriend Kristen or one of her nieces or one of my little cousins got sick while a supply chain issue kept them from life-saving medication they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jace Medical. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. Visit Jace Medical and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com and use code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Again, go to Jace Medical and use code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening to all my nonsense and all my fun. But we got to talk some Big 12. Now, I've been talking about this for some time now. I think Colorado could really compete in the Big 12. I think 8 wins is realistic next year. And a recent coaching change in the Big 12 has me feeling even more confident. Let me tell you. Okay, so Arizona's head coach, Jedd Fisch, revamps their program. They go from 1-11 in year one to 10-4 this year. They finished 14th in the college football playoff ranking. And it's like, oh, dang, Arizona is a program on the rise. Now, I think they're a program on the fall. Jedd Fisch, okay, so we got to go all the way back to last week now. This is so last week. Nick Saban retires. Excuse me. Kalen DeBoer takes his job. Washington job is open. Who they going to hire? You know, they look at Ryan Grubb, or apparently they didn't. Ryan Grubb says it's not him. Then they look at who else? I don't even know. They looked at Matt Campbell. Wasn't him. They hired Jedd Fisch away from Arizona. So Arizona is now coachless. Arizona's in the Big 12. They're probably going to lose Noah Fafita, Tetero McMillan, or T-Mac as he's called. I feel like I always butcher his first name. They're probably going to lose them to the portal. I imagine they're going to follow Jedd Fisch to Washington. And so a program like Arizona that was like trending up, I think they may have just had to hit the reset button on their rebuild, which is a difficult thing to do, especially in January, mid-January. Early signing day has already passed. The other signing days in February. There's still recruits out there, but there's not many. And it's just going to get tough. It's going to be really tough for Arizona to find not only a quality coach, which I think they'll do. I really do. I think it's going to be hard to keep all these guys in Arizona, in Tucson, because T-Mac, the wide receiver, is easily probably the best wide receiver in college football next year. I think he legitimately might be the best receiver in all college football. He's huge. He's fast. He can make just about every catch. And Noah Fafita and him, they go way back. They were like high school teammates or like junior high teammates or something. They are like best friends. Noah Fafita targets him like 12 times a game. So wherever T-Mac goes, Noah Fafita is going to go, or vice versa. And I think that place may be Washington. And so Washington's in the Big Ten now, no longer Colorado's problem. Arizona State was already a program that's struggling to rebuild. Arizona, I thought was a program that could be the second best team in the Big 12. Now they're probably middle of the pack. I think Colorado has a realistic chance of competing for the Big 12 title just by sticking around. And so it's going to be a real interesting case to see who kind of steps up, emerges as the Arizona coach. I've seen Justin Wilcox's name already thrown in. I've seen the San Jose State coach thrown in the mix. So it's going to be real interesting. But I think Jedd Fisch leaving Arizona for Washington may have helped Colorado a lot more than people realize. I think that's my take. You guys let me know what you think below. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs and making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get a podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, give me those 5 stars, and I will see you guys tomorrow.